Something I thought about today, and then also after SmackDown just went off the air when we recorded this a little while ago, because they're very much with Solo Sikoa's version of Bloodline, they're having obvious kind of similarities to the original version. He's the tribal chief. Then you got Tangaloa and Tamatanga as like the kind of new evil version of the Usos. Now you have Jacob Fatu is he's calling him his enforcer. He's like him, the version of him. The one element they're kind of missing is a wise man. Now a case obviously could be made. This group doesn't need that. They're kind of wild, the renegades. That doesn't fit them. But considering that he's trying to almost make the similar version of what Roman had, I can see a wise man being brought in. The question is, who do you get for that? Because Paul was an interesting choice when he first originally got put together with Roman. I love the idea. It made a lot of sense. He's got a history of taking young stars or in their prime stars to a different place, a different level and stuff like that. So it made sense, especially for Roman's first kind of heel turn as a solo act. But with this group, with Solo, it's a little different. So I'm going to throw a few names out there. Well, I know what you think, and for the people that watch this, what they think. But first one that came to mind, just because he's relevant right now because of the new documentary series going out, is Eric Bischoff. I thought Eric Bischoff would be interesting. He's got a history with Paul Heyman. He's kind of diabolical. Just like Paul, he's not a part of the bloodline, but he's got a deep history steeped in business. Another one I thought was Rikishi. Can't be more wise man to Solo than his father. And that would be quite a twist. I don't know if he's physically able. And the other one I thought about, again, going to the family ties, is Haku. Both his sons are in this new version of the bloodline. Jose, what are your thoughts? First, do you think a wise man fits? 2, do any of these options make sense to you? Or 3, is there somebody else that you thought about that might be an even more interesting fit for this?
Yeah, I'm of the first school of thought that you mentioned, kind of agreeing with you, where I don't think it's necessarily a good fit for this group. You know what I mean? They do seem to be a little more physical, a little more roughshod, a little more, kind of outlawish. And, wise man, not to say there would be a bad thing, but it's not really necessary to the package. Heyman added so much to Roman and it just fits so well. But if they were to go that route, the names you mentioned would be interesting, like Bischoff, a lot of relevance there. Great mic skills, you know what I mean? He's a great talker. Got a lot of history in the business. It's a little farther back now, but to your point, the WCW thing is always going to be talked about, and he's still around, and he would be a great foil for Heyman. Like having him and Heyman going back and forth. When Heyman comes back would be a terrific fit. Rikishi's a natural fit with the family. He fits in every regard except one, which is that he's a terrible talker. I don't think that would be. He wouldn't add much to the package. I don't want to. A mic in Rikishi's hand on a regular basis, but family wise, that would be great. But if they're gonna go that route, I do think Haku is a much better fit. Haku is cooler. Haku hasn't really had the chance to be showcased in this light, at least not in WWE. Like he's a great worker back in the day, was not necessarily a main eventer, but he has this aura about him. You hear all the stories about Haku was the baddest man in the business, and by all accounts, it was just like the nicest guy otherwise, but. He would be a great fit to this package, lends to their physicality as well. Of the 3, I think Haku would be the most interesting choice. Bischoff would be a terrific fit. I wouldn't be mad at that. But, yeah, I don't think it's necessary for this group in particular. You know what I mean? And, if anything, it might be a detriment to Solo because he's kind of coming into his own as the leader and kind of, talking a little bit more on a regular basis. So taking that away from him might be a little detrimental to him, especially when they're trying to make him a really main guy. So it's kind of a sink or swim on a weekly basis. Might be more beneficial to him to not have a wise man and have it put more on him to where he has to, kind of succeed week to week. So,
yeah, I agree 1,000%. And also wasn't Haku maybe for a short stint? Wasn't he like a part of the Bullet Club or offshot of the Bullet Club at one point for New Japan?
Yeah, he was down with them for a little bit, coming on when they were the firing squad and rolling with his boys, so they could bring that kind of presentation over here, which they kind of have been doing already, you know what I mean? So just add him to it. I don't think anybody would be mad at that, and he would fit right in. And people love Haku, so And if he needs to throw down a little bit, I'm sure he'd still be able to. I'm not sure how old he is, but I don't think anybody's gonna question the toughness of that guy. So he'd be a different kind of wise man. That's why I'd like him to be the choice of the 3 that you put out there.
Yeah, he'd be, and that just shows you because the Bullet Club was always so good because it like rode that line of staying cool for so long, and the fact that they were willing to bring him in just shows you, like, even though he's an older guy, he's just, because of that history, just this badass kind of guy. He's just cool no matter what generation you are. And I can see him also, him or Rikishi or even Bischoff's like that, instead of being a talker like Paul was for his crew, more like this wise man that just kind of whispers in the ear, you know, says something, and then the words come out and stuff, like the actions follow that. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd like to see it, but if it doesn't happen, it makes total sense, and it's fine the way it is.